son's school, if you don't say good morning loud enough, they make you do it again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. So super excited to be here. Thank you to Kathy. Thank you to the Ad Club for having us. We love being a sponsor of this event and having Lisa up on stage, who's been a very good client of ours for many years at Media Hub. So Lisa, just a little bit about her before she comes on stage, is a leader in transformative brand marketing, a seasoned innovator. Her work drives affinity and awareness by creating authentic connections between people and the brands that the guests stay at. I would say she's a true challenger, which is language that we use a lot at Media Hub. Lisa currently serves as Wyndham's Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer, championing the company's 20 global hotel brands by creating meaningful brand promises for owners and guests that come to life through unique brand experiences. In this role, she oversees, ready for this, it's a lot, she oversees the company's loyalty program, Wyndham Rewards, as well as branding, marketing, brand experience, integrated media, owner communications, public relations, and global sales. I'm not sure if that's enough yet. Before joining Wyndham, Lisa spent 11 years at JetBlue overseeing brand strategy and the execution of marketing programs, advertising, brand communications, and design. And I've personally had the pleasure of working with Lisa for 6+ years, I think we're on. We've imagined and executed some of the best work together, I would say. And I can tell you this, we've been through highs and lows and in the trenches, and through it all, Lisa has always been very fair, very reasonable, a force to be reckoned with. She is everything you want in a client, and dare I say, when I grow up, I do want to be you. Prior to JetBlue, this is a little bit of a fun fact for you guys. Prior to JetBlue, she worked in event management in professional tennis, which tennis is a personal passion of hers. She also earned her degree in economics from the George Washington University. And Lisa is based in lovely Parsippany, New Jersey. With that, please join me in welcoming Lisa to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing today? Happy New Year. It is such an honor to be here today. Thank you, Kathy and Mary, for having me, and Jade for suggesting that I be here. My name is Lisa Checchio. I have the honor of being the Chief Marketing Officer at Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. It's so nice for me to be back here in Boston. As Jade mentioned, I was at JetBlue for nearly 12 years, and Boston really became my home away from home. For a very long time. I was a part of the team that really helped to expand JetBlue's presence here in the market to become the largest airline here. Anyone in here ever fly JetBlue? All right, we got some friendlies in here, which is great. I also had the distinct pleasure is a strong word, of actually helping to bring JetBlue to the world champion Red Sox. And since JetBlue actually became a sponsor of the Red Sox, they've won 4 championships. So I take full credit also for that as well. It's so nice also to see so many familiar faces and friends in the audience. Of course, the Media Hub and Mullen team. I see you guys all in here. The Wyndham team is here. The Red Sox team is here. And for many of you who I don't know, I hope that by the end we do and that we become friends. And to guarantee that you become my friend, I'm going to give away some prizes today. Because who doesn't want a trip? As Kathy said, it is the dead of winter. It was flurrying this morning when I woke up. And so we're going to give away a 2-night stay to anywhere in the world that you guys want to stay in a Wyndham hotel. So, all right, so let's get this started. Jay, thank you very much. So when you guys came in, you put business cards in here. Drum roll.
We took out all the Media Hub ones.
I like this business card. These are, all right, let's see what we got here. Yeliza. All right, come on up. All right. Yeliza, where do you work? CTP. Yeliza from CTP, you have won 2 nights anywhere in the world at a Wyndham hotel. You can stand right here. If you'd like to take a picture, you can stand in between Jade. You can stand right here. This is very official here, everybody, okay? Not awkward at all, okay? Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations. We'll catch you right after, and we'll make sure you'll hold this. Okay. All right, let's give Eliza a round of applause. So while some of Wyndham's brands have been around for nearly 100 years, if you think about brands like Howard Johnson that was founded back in 1925 with 16 flavors of ice cream that then turned into clam strips and then turned into a very iconic turquoise, green, and orange brand. That brand has been around for nearly 100 years. Wyndham Hotels and Resorts as a company has actually been around for 7 months. We were part of a holding company that was founded back in the 90s, which then spun off in 2006 to become Wyndham Worldwide. And Wyndham Worldwide was the largest hospitality company in the world, the largest hotel company, the largest timeshare company, and the largest exchange and rentals company. So the beginnings of the Airbnbs actually was kind of begun at our exchange and rentals business. And last year, what we decided to do is break that enormous public company with all of those business units and all of those areas of hospitality into 2. And so now we have Wyndham Destinations, which is our timeshare business based in Orlando, Florida. And I met the Element team earlier this morning who is working on bringing their new brand to life. And we created Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. And what's so amazing now about being a pure play hotel company, that's me, all the way in the corner over here, if you're looking for me, when we rang the bell. What's so amazing now about being a pure play hotel company is that now we get to do what we do best, which is delivering amazing experiences to our guests through our owners each and every day. And our North Star is very simple. We make hotel travel possible for all people. Wherever people go, Wyndham will be there to welcome them. And day in and day out, this is what guides us. It guides our decisions, it guides what we give to our guests, and it guides the way that we grow around the world. And we can do that because we are the largest franchise hotel company and a leading management company. And what you may have noticed in our logo that you probably have seen around, and what you saw in that opening video, is there is a horizon line in our logo. And what that line represents is our future. It represents our global presence, and it represents possibility, endless possibility. And we believe that we help people, our guests, our franchisees, our team members, to realize the possibilities over every horizon. Because when you target everyday travelers, you can do this. You can help grandparents visit their granddaughters, which I'm sure many did over the holidays. And we can help families travel cross country and stay in hotels when they go for adoption. And we make it possible for startup companies who are doing sales tours, trying to start their businesses. Many of you may belong to small businesses, to do sales tours, to go out and find new business. And we help sisters make memories that will last a lifetime. And we do that with a global footprint. 80 countries across 6 continents. We open 80,000 hotel rooms every year. That equates to 2 hotels a day, 7 days a week, even on Saturday and Sunday. None of our closest competitors can touch that type of growth or deliver that type of possibility to all of our travelers. We franchise more hotels than anybody else. And why this scale matters to our owners. As a franchise company, they are just as important of a customer to us as our guest is because scale has never mattered more in the hotel business. And it gives our owners greater options. It gives them loyalty with nearly now almost 70 million members in our loyalty program. It gives them distribution. These are the channels that they are sold in. We connect them to hundreds of distribution channels, including our own brand.com sites, and it gives them higher contribution. Many of our franchisees are small business owners. They own one hotel. This is their livelihood. They are living the American dream. And by being a part of our scale and our system, we can deliver maximum revenue to their hotels. Our scale matters to the street. We are a public company, and it matters to them because every 18 months, we acquire and integrate a new hotel brand. And so when you look at the brands that we've acquired from the early 90s all the way through until last year, which are with our largest acquisition to date of La Quinta Hotels, we can prove to the street time and time again that not only can we acquire brands, we can integrate them and we can make them better. Make them better for their franchisees who own them and make them better for the guests who stay in them. And our scale matters to our guests because we can give them, like I said, amazing experiences that keep them coming back time and time again. We can give them loyalty. We can give them Wyndham in the palm of their hands through our digital channels. And we can give them distribution. We can be everywhere that they want to be. 80% of the US population is within 10 miles of a Wyndham hotel. Isn't that amazing? So everywhere that people are, there's a hotel by Wyndham waiting for them. And at a time when loyalty has never mattered more, Wyndham has created the most generous rewards program in the business. And we're not just saying it. USA Today says it, US News and World Report says it, and the Wall Street Journal says it. Driving loyalty to our guests to come back time and time and again, driving value to our guests to come back to us time and time and again is the engine that keeps our company going. But loyalty doesn't matter unless you have brands that people care about. And our brand promise, simple to our mission, is to make travel possible for all. And not only make it travel possible for all, but elevate experiences at every price point. When you stay at a luxury hotel or an upper upscale hotel, and you're paying $400, $500, $600 a night, you expect an amazing experience. And you deserve that amazing experience if that's what you're paying for. But if you're staying in an economy or mid-scale hotel, and you're spending $69, $89, $129, we believe that you deserve just as an amazing experience. You should still get to be a hero to your kids. You should still want to take pictures and share them in your social channels so that your friends know where you are. And that's Wyndham's mission, is to elevate the experience regardless of the price point. We have 20 hotel brands, ranging from budget economy to upper upscale. We are in 80 countries across 9,000 hotels. And we have hotels that many of you probably have heard of. Days Inn, Super 8, Ramada. But to build brands that people want, we can't just have logos on a brand bar. We need our brands to stand for something. We need our brands to emotionally connect with our guests. And we need to be able to help our guests understand what that brand is for them. We want them to emotionally connect because 70% of purchase decisions are made by how we feel, not what we think. And so by being able to create brands that people want, that people are seeking out, that's really what we set out to do when we began our brand transformation about 3 years ago. And so what we realized 3 years ago is that we had this portfolio of brands that were very well known, very high awareness, but people didn't quite know what they were. They had low consideration. They had no real perception about who we are and what they stood for. And so we went through the effort of a repositioning effort. With being a house of brands, what you needed to do is to get our house in order. I mean, how many of us have driven down a highway at 70 miles an hour and seen a sign like this? And in a brand like Super 8, over 50% of our guests are deciding that day if they're going to stay with us or not. So talk about a booking window, right? This isn't several weeks, this isn't months of planning. This is, I'm tired, I've driven as far as I can go, I need a hotel room for the night. And they pass a sign like this. And so our opportunity was, what's the difference between a Super 8 and a Best Western, or a Comfort and a Days? If it's only about price and proximity and convenience, that's not a brand, that's a commodity. And so we wanted to create brands so that when people see a sign like this, they say, I know what Days Inn stands for. I'm a member of their loyalty program. I know I'm going to get their points. I know they're going to give me a great experience, even at a low price point. That's the exit I'm taking, and that's the parking lot I'm pulling into. And the way that we did this was with a ton of research. You know, we talked to our owners. We talked to the team members within Wyndham. We compared ourselves to over 70 brands around the world. What were they doing? What were they saying about their brands? How were they targeting their guests? And we surveyed thousands of guests. And we surveyed them on rational elements. Do you like social lobbies? Do you need Wi-Fi? Do you care about the beds? Do you care about what shampoo you're using? We surveyed them on their emotional connection. Do you want to feel safe? Do you want to feel cool? Do you want to feel like this brand speaks to me? Because I'm affiliated with this brand, they represent who we are. And we did this across all kinds of drivers, across all types of travelers, business, leisure, young, old, domestic, and abroad. And what we were able to do was take our brands, which were all in this big swimming pool, bumping into each other, pulling on each other in the deep end, not quite sure who they were and what they stood for, and we put them in their own swim lanes. So now our brands are unified, but they are distinct. We are able to articulate who they are and what they are. We are able to strengthen them as individual brands. And the stronger they become as individual brands, the stronger our entire portfolio becomes. And so we looked at our standards. We looked at our marketing campaigns. We looked at our service cultures. We looked at our PR campaigns. We looked at our guests. We figured out who the right high segment targets were for each guest. And we gave them their own stories. And I think I saw Kristen Modesto back here. Where are you, Kristen? From Brigade. And with Kristen's partnership, we created beautiful stories. And they look like this. And so now Travelodge is not just a logo. It's a base camp for adventure. Travelodge was founded in California. It's a laid-back California kind of brand. It's about that person you want to be on the weekend. And it is friendly and reliable. And it is now able, but this positioning has allowed us to do two things. One, it's allowed us to partner with amazing organizations like the National Parks Conservation Association and See America Art. And so now when you go into every Travelodge across the US and Canada, you'll see a sign at the front door that says, we are powering your adventure with the National Parks Conservation Association. And when you go into the lobbies and into the guest rooms, you'll see art from See America, which is all arts that's curated from photographers and artists around the country in celebration of our national parks and all the amazing things that our country has to offer. And the second thing that it does is that it puts Travelodge in the same mindset as other outdoor brands. We've all heard about Nature's Valley and Subaru and REI and all these brands that target outdoor enthusiasts. And now Travelodge can now join those ranks and has a point of view. It has an emotional connection. It helps us to tell a better story, and it helps us to develop them. Because now we can target hoteliers and owners who are near national parks and continue to grow the brand and continue to tell the story. Days Inn. Days Inn has one of the most iconic logos in the hotel business. That sun is seen on every highway across the US, and it is all about warmth and energy and good old-fashioned hospitality. We want to encourage our guests to seize the days, which you'll see in our new campaigns coming out this year. And we have a new room product that we're introducing called Project Dawn. And what's beautiful, again, about that campaign and that room product is that it is only for Days Inn. So even if Super 8 or Ramada or somebody else wants it, it doesn't work for them. It only works for Days Inn. It helps us to further strengthen Days Inn's unique positioning. Ramada. Ramada is the most global brand in the world. I don't know, many people don't know that. There is just as many Ramadas outside the US as there are in. There's about 1,000 in the world. And Ramada is in more international airports than any other hotel. And so when you start to think of all of the inbound traffic coming in from China, from India, from Europe, as the global middle class grows and becomes more discretionary income as they want to start to travel to the US, having a brand like Ramada as our global ambassador to the world brings not just US travelers to hotels within the US, but it's a familiar face as travelers now travel throughout the world. Trip is one of our favorite brands that we have. It's one of our lifestyle brands. Again, when you see photographs like this, when you see colors, when you see brand values, when you see positioning like being powered by the city, this positioning, this look, this feel is only for Trip. It's only for a lifestyle brand. And again, helps us to define what a Trip means versus any other brands that we have. And Wyndham Grand is our namesake. It is at the very top of the food chain in terms of our segments. Wyndham Grand is all about experiences. And what we were able to bring to Wyndham Grand last year was an amazing program called, God bless you, Reconnected. And what Reconnected does is it encourages our families to put their phones away, to disconnect, to reconnect. It's a situation that we all find ourselves in when we're with our families, I'm sure. And what we felt Wyndham Grand could offer our guests, which is the greatest amenity that any hotel brand can offer, is time. Time back on vacation. We were finding at our Wyndham Grands that we had to put more pool chairs out by the pools because kids and parents were sitting poolside on vacation on their devices and not swimming. I mean, it's insane. So what are you talking about? And then we did a search for waterproof cases for phones, and there's like 50,000 cases on Amazon. It's like the craziest thing. And so we've introduced this program, and it's done wonders because it hasn't only just affected our guests, but it's affected our employees who work at those hotels. Our guests are more engaged. They're actually on vacation. And we're delivering an experience that we're delivering nowhere else and that we haven't found anywhere else in the industry because most family programs at hotels are actually children's programs and adult programs. So you drop your kids off, and then the parents go and do what they do, and then they come back and pick their kids up. And what we wanted to do at Wyndham Grand was actually create a family experience. And we introduced this program last year, and we haven't seen anything else like it in the industry. And Super 8. Super 8 is just an amazing brand. When I got to Wyndham, this is the one that I was most excited about because it is what it is. It is an American road original. It is on every highway and byway. This picture, doesn't it just make you want to get in the car and go somewhere? And that is what we wanted to tell the story of for Super 8. It is authentic, it is dependable, it is your partner on your it is not your destination, it is your partner to get you to where you are going. And Super 8 has just this amazing story. It was founded in 1974 in Aberdeen, South Dakota. And its first marketing campaign was an $8.88 for a room. It's genius, right? It makes complete, right? There's nothing complicated about that. $8.88 a room. It was a roadside hotel, and there was one. Fast forward now to today, Super 8 is the largest economy hotel brand in the entire world. The largest one in the entire world. In the US and Canada, there are almost 2,000 Super 8s. And in China, it is one of the largest hotel brands in that region. It's amazing. I mean, and this is just a sampling of it. They love Super 8. 8 is lucky, it's a Western brand, and it's red. I mean, it's a trifecta of goodness that we could not have even thought of when we did it back in 1974. But what an amazing story to bring a brand like Super 8 to China, the fastest growing region in the world, the largest amount of travelers that are starting to go outbound from China and into the world. How better suited? They have them in China, they know the brand, they know what they're going to get, and now they can come to the US and Canada and stay in any of our 2,000 here. So how many of you have heard of Super 8? Okay, so that's almost everyone, which is pretty consistent with any of all surveys. Everyone knows what a Super 8 is. Okay, so now be honest. How many of you have stayed in one recently? Stayed in one. One? Maybe you did? Okay, she says yes. Well, how recently did you stay in one? All right. we'll give it, all right, maybe we'll give that as a recent. Okay, so 1.5. Okay, so 1.5 people in a room where everyone has heard of Super 8 is exactly why we needed to do what we did. And so over the last 5 years, we have invested over $100 million into Super 8, into a room package called Innovate. And what Innovate did was it busted the perception of what an economy, budget economy room product needs to be. It doesn't need to be tan. It doesn't need to be cheap. It doesn't need to be boring. It can be memorable. It can bring in high-impact art, like you see here in a headboard. It can be hyper-local, so that when you wake up, you know where you are. It can give our owners choice as a way to engage their own employees and their own guests to pick the art that they want into their rooms. It can have design. It can have amenities that people want. We can elevate economy in a way that no other budget economy hotel can do, because that's what our mission is. And that's what Super 8 stands for. And that's what we've been able to do through this investment that we've made. But we needed to figure out how to tell that story, because we invested $100 million. You have 1.5 people out of every however many hundreds that have stayed in one. We needed to get this story out in a big way. And we're all marketers, right? We've all been in the room where we need to come up with a big idea. We have the brief. We have to figure out what it is that we're going to do. And this was really no different. We were sitting in a conference room doing a quarterly business review about Super 8. And we were going through the progress of Innovate and how many people had started to take it on. And we asked the question, well, what are we going to do with all that art? Because the idea of this product is to put these headboards in, you didn't need any other art in the room. So now we have like those black velvet paintings and the muted watercolors, right? You're not quite sure what you're looking at, and the dried plants with the dust that's probably been sitting on it for several years. And we said, what are we going to do with all of this art? And someone said, I don't know, like a dumpster fire? And then luckily, someone else said, we should have an art show. And that's what we did.
This is a proper send-off for the Super 8 art collection, and we wanted to do it in a fun way that people wouldn't expect. Amy is so quirky and so fun. She really finds the imperfections with humor, and that's really what we're going for here.
Super 8 motels are getting a major makeover, so the chain is giving away the artwork from its rooms and its lobbies.
Yeah, pretty kitschy.
So we did the art show, and we disrupted the art industry, and we were at Frieze in New York, and we were at Art Basel in Florida, and it was just an amazing story. Clearly, you saw the kind of recognition that we got here, and so we thought next, well, what else can we do? What industry can we disrupt next? And as the ultimate roadside companion, and as the, your American Road original, the next natural place for us to be was the auto industry. And so we introduced RoadMate at the New York Auto Show last April. It is a souped-up Jeep Wrangler in highlighter yellow. And inside RoadMate, it is the room. It's the new room package. It's the new room design. It's all the amenities that the room comes with. And we told the story again in a big way. So it left New York. It went to Las Vegas to visit with our owners at our largest conference that we have every other year with 7,000 of our franchisees in Las Vegas. It went to Los Angeles, and then it went back to Chicago, came back to New York, and visited some offices. And it did a lot of heavy lifting along the way. It met with franchisees. It met with media. And it did something that the art show did as well, which is it put Super 8 into publications that we had no right being in and that we would have never been in before. Right? As a hotel company, you're in the hotel trades. But with RoadMate and with the art show, we showed up in publications like Car and Driver and People and Radar and Star, lifestyle publications that helped to further talk through what it was that we were trying to do as a brand, and again, emotionally connect to our guests. And what was really exciting about RoadMate is that we actually auctioned it off at Veterans Day to a cause that is very near and dear to our hearts, which is the military. Super 8 feels very strongly and believes in giving back, and giving back to those who are actively serving and to those who have served in our veterans. And we've done it in the last year in two big ways. The first one was with veterans parking. This idea came from a maintenance manager in Michigan. He was a veteran, and he just thought it was the right thing to do. And he hung a sign at the best spot in the parking lot for veterans. And it was his way of giving back. And we found his story, and we were so moved by it that we made it a brand standard. And we drop-shipped veterans parking signs to every hotel in the US and Canada on Veterans Day of that year, and it is now in every hotel in Super 8. And then what also happened after that is that all of our other brands in the US and Canada said, well, we want this too. This is such an amazing idea. And so now it's a brand standard in each and every one of our hotels. And this idea came from someone doing the right thing in one of our hotels, and we were able to elevate the story. And it's such a simple gesture, but it's really gone and done so much for us. And the other thing that happened last year is that we met an amazing group of people. This is Ian, Gino, and Aaron. And they founded an organization called the Human Hug Foundation. And what they do is travel the country giving hugs and really telling the story about hugs. And I know I'm going video heavy right now, but this is one that I want to make sure you guys see.
We got ambushed the first night. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm 22 and I'm at war. No one wants to leave the military with a post-traumatic stress diagnosis. No one wants to go from a hero to a zero. You literally go into this hypervigilant state, which can last an hour or days. Then your body starts to sweat in response to this fight or flight.
We were taking rounds in our position. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty scared. Coming home to a wife and a family and society, I didn't fit.
Sir, did you get to hug a veteran today? Would you like to give another veteran a hug?
When people are traumatized, fear is everything. The hug turns the fear off long enough to get back in touch with love. We were the first Marine unit in Afghanistan.
Gino, before he left, was the life of the party, boisterous, almost the exact opposite person is what came back. He started to have blackout anger, blackout rage episodes.
I fell in love with it. Right out of boot camp, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally a Marine. It's one thing to see vehicles getting blown up, people dead, and then you come back to a world that's just traffic, school. I was trying to find a reason to stay alive. I had this dream that I was giving hugs with the word human written on my back. I woke up, get in my car, I load my dog. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna go hug.
So I'm like, Ian, I'm going across America with you with a sign because I need these hugs.
It's the small gestures that validate a veteran's experience.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service and welcome home.
We're bringing awareness to post-traumatic stress while empowering veterans to tell their story.
We're told about this guy on the floor. They call him Mr. Wonderful. He hates everybody. He's got cancer, Agent Orange, all the bad stuff. We're like, hey, we came in here to give you a hug. Is that cool? And he's like, well, yeah, come on in. And his daughter has been sitting here, and she's hearing for the first time her dad tell his Vietnam War story. Her whole life, she thought her dad hated her. And she's like, I had no idea you went through that. And like, you see, oh man, like, you see 40 years of hate and anger melt right on the floor. And this daughter looks at her dad for the first time in her life and is like, I love you so much. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. And he looks at his daughter and he's like, I love you so much. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. That's one example. This happens all the time. That's what people experience in the hugs. If they're authentic, they experience unconditional love. And it's something a lot of people don't get, especially vets that isolate themselves.
Would you like a free hug today?
Erin is like the secret weapon. Oh, hug a guy? How about her? Then they're like, okay, come on in here and give me a hug. And then they come give us a hug.
Well, I know I'm not as tall as pretty as you. I know.
We've gone to 50 individual VAs, 102 VA hospitals left. We know that we're doing something. We're making a change.
Now I feel like I have my life back. You never get over PTSD. You learn how to cope, and you learn how to choose happiness.
There's tons of people that are sharing these stories, and through that sense of camaraderie and community, you can start to build someone up and carry them when they can't carry themselves.
No matter how many times I see that video, I just can't. Sorry. So Ian, Gino, and Erin actually joined us at our global conference in April. We shared their story with all of our franchisees and our owners, and our ability, and it's so meaningful for them, because here was just 3 people who just were out there doing the right thing, and now with our relationship with them, we are just trying to enable them to do what they do best. We're not taking any credit for what they do. We're just helping them to, they were sleeping in their cars. Right? They're traveling around the country doing the right thing, and they're sleeping in their cars. And so now at least they don't have to sleep in their cars anymore. They can stay with Super 8. And so you start to see, this is another example, as the way that we're telling our stories. We're telling them with humor, we're telling them with celebrity support, we're telling them in finding really meaningful organizations that help to tell our stories. It's not just a logo anymore. It's not just a brand that people knew about from what they thought it was back in the 70s as a roadside motel. It is changing. We are changing and transforming these brands, and we're doing them all the way across our portfolio. And so what's on the horizon for Wyndham? In the next year, we will integrate La Quinta. La Quinta is a 900-plus hotel brand in the US and Mexico. It is the largest acquisition by far. We'll bring 14 million new loyalty members into our system once we integrate them. And this is just a terrific hotel brand if you haven't had a chance to stay in them. As a business traveler especially, it is everywhere that you will need to be. And for anyone who flies Southwest, you'll see La Quinta all year long with our buy on that airline. The other big thing that we have on the horizon this year is the introduction of by Wyndham. So we made the decision recently to endorse all of our brands. Up until this point, some did, some didn't. As an acquisition company, as brands were brought in, some brands were brought in just as they were, Ramada, Days Inn, Super 8. Some brands were brought in and endorsed immediately. Microtel by Wyndham, Wingate by Wyndham, Trip by Wyndham. And so we made the decision to endorse them all so that we can really drive home the affinity to not only our loyalty program by bringing our brands closer to our loyalty program, which is Wyndham Rewards, but it also helps us in 2 other ways. One, our economy mid-scale brands have such enormous high awareness, but as we've seen with our vote about Super 8, maybe low consideration or perception, and the Wyndham name helps to elevate them. While in reverse, the Wyndham name may not have as high awareness, but it has an amazing halo of positivity. When people hear the Wyndham name in the travel business, they think it stands for something positive, great experiences. And so the Wyndham name helps to elevate our economy mid-scale brands from a perception issue, while the other does the reverse for awareness, while both tie it back to our loyalty program. And so over the next year, we will continue to roll this out. Last year, we were very focused on all the things that we controlled in terms of our digital channels and our websites and our hotel collateral and our signage, which is one by one being rolled out across the country. And now that we have that foundation set and we've started the beginnings of by Wyndham, what's next is now telling it to our guests in a very big way. And if you'll humor me, I'll show you one more quick video because I think it's important to show what the challenge is that we need to overcome with this campaign.
I wonder if there's a Wyndham in Binghamton, New York. There are two.
We'd love to go up to Maine, especially Mount Desert Isle. In that area, it's a little isolated. There's probably not a Wyndham. Oh, sure enough, look at that, right downtown.
You never know, you need to go to Kalamazoo, Michigan. There's a Baymont by Wyndham in East Kalamazoo.
So let's check out the Space Needle in Seattle, Washington, see if that works out for me. There's 25 hotels. Oh, wow. I'm shocked.
We actually don't have a place to stay in Miami. Maybe we can find a Wyndham there. Oh, it looks like there's one right outside of the port of Miami, and that one's pet friendly, so perfect for us.
I had no idea that they're so close to some of the major landmarks in Boston.
8 hotels in Youngstown. Amazing. Anaheim, Disneyland, go. There's a lot.
We need to go to a wedding in Austin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope, still scrolling. 27.
Oh, these are good prices too. There's a travel lodge. It's only $52 a night. I should have done this. I already booked my hotel. Now I'm pissed. Now I'm really mad.
So clearly we have an awareness issue of not only how many brands we have, but how many hotels we have. And that is what we need to overcome. And so this April, with the help of our friends from Media Hub, we are launching the best campaign that we have ever launched. And we will tell the By Wyndham story in a big way. We will show the scale and diversity of our portfolio. We will have an offer that we will run to encourage guests to come and try us out and stay with us. And it will be full funnel. You will see this campaign in a big way. You'll see all of our brands represented, and the goal of that campaign is to overcome this. I was so surprised. I had no idea. I didn't know that there were this many hotels. I wish I had booked this instead. That is what we're going to overcome with this campaign. And as I said, it'll be fully funded. So what you'll see from us this year is this By Wyndham campaign go into market, brand new creative, brand new media plan to show our scale and diversity. It will be choreographed with our brand campaigns that will go specific into the consideration. Why should you book a Super 8? We'll feature the brand amenities and features. We know that that's a big factor in how people book and why they book. So we'll run that concurrently. And then, of course, our direct response, which is always on, working hard for us day in and day out. So with that, I want to thank you for your attention. And we're going to open it for some Q&A. Are we going to do any gifts yet, or we're going to do them later? Okay, after Q&A. So you have to stay. And we'll do a little Q&A, and then I promise you we'll do a couple more giveaways after that. All right. Thank you. Okay.
First question.
Good morning, Lisa. I was wondering the effect of this targeted branding on your prices at the various brands. Have you been able to elevate the average room rate?
So for Super 8, we actually have seen an increase in index go up 10 points for hotels that have done the room package versus hotels that have not. So they're definitely driving rate in their markets. And one of the outcomes that we hope to see from the endorsement strategy, which I just went through, is that part of the, when we did some of the research in terms of would you pay more for this hotel if you knew it was a Wyndham, the answer was yes. We haven't been able to see that benefit yet, but that's also the intention, is to hopefully drive rate by the endorsement and that now that they're closer tied to Wyndham. But we've absolutely seen it in Super 8, for sure. Yes?
Yes, the work looks great, contemporary, it all looks very compelling. But I was wondering if you could talk about the trade-off between spreading yourself so thin. I mean, 20 brands. Yep. I think on the one hand you've got the existing brand value of all the brands you have, versus potentially that's 20 different campaigns. If they were consolidated a little bit more, you'd have that much more dollars and consumer bandwidth to capture. So how do you look at that trade-off?
Did Jay tell you to ask me this question?
I
mean, you guys could have asked them that yourself. I think that is the exact point that we raised in September, right? And that's actually the reason why the campaign that we'll run this year is this one, this integrated by Wyndham campaign, for that exact reason. Last year we attempted to do it all for every brand, and the sprinkling of dollars did not have the effect that we intended it to do. We were trying to do way too much with way too small a budget. And by telling a Super 8 story over here, and a Ramada story over here, and a Travelodge story over here, it never laddered up to a bigger story, because not only were they not tied together by Wyndham, but they looked very disparate from each other. And that's exactly why we're doing this. So when I come back, you can ask that exact same question, and I'll tell you if it did what it intended. But the consolidated buy and the message of all of these brands fit into this portfolio, and the call to action to our WyndhamHotels.com site will then further tell this story without us having to do it above the line. Sure. Sure. So it's an interesting balance that we have to strike between how many brands is too many brands, which is a question that we get a lot. From a development perspective, as a franchise company, having more brands and having brands that our owners can choose from actually helps us to grow. Because we have something called an area of protection, where within that area, there can only be one particular brand. And so by consolidating, you give yourself less of an opportunity to put more brands into that area versus the ability to have multiple Wyndham brands within that proximity versus if we had less. So it's a question that I actually asked when I joined. Is this too many? And then as we continue to acquire, making sure that the brands that we acquire or the brands that we grow complement the portfolio and kind of slot themselves in where we either need it from an owner development perspective or a guest perspective versus cannibalizing what we already have. Yep. Any other questions?
Lisa, thanks very much for that. Cesar Brea with Bain. First of all, congratulations on a really ambitious effort, and it seems, from what I've seen this morning, to be really quite impressive in terms of how you've managed all the complexity of it. But my question is, to a certain degree, this is an example of a big bet, right, that you make in terms of the direction you want to take the brand.
Sure.
How much have you defined in advance what you're going to do, and how much of your powder have you kept dry to sort of adjust on the fly after the fact in terms of directions you take, both for storytelling for the individual brands and media mix and all that? How do you balance that?
Sure. So I think this goes back to really the balance between, we're really balancing a lot. We're balancing guest satisfaction and affinity, as well as owner return and investment, because as a franchise company, everything that we do in any of our brands needs to be fully funded and supported by our franchisees. These are their individual businesses that we're asking them to invest in. So any of these guest experiences, ideas that we bring in, be it room design, food and beverage, technology, needs to come in partnership with our owners. And so that's something that we're always balancing. And we would never want them to invest in their hotel that's not going to drive value back to them or drive value to our guests. And so that's always the trade-off. The other thing that we trade off on is we have very large, very high awareness brands, Super 8, Days Inn, et cetera. But we also have in here brands that, from a pipeline perspective as we look forward, are the ones that we want to focus on to grow. New construction, prototypical brands. American by Wyndham, which is an amazing Midwest brand. There's about 200 of them right now. It's probably the best hotel brand that many of you have never heard of. La Quinta is another, Wyndham Garden is another, Microtel is another. These are brands that you may not be as familiar with, but they are really strong brands. They're an amazing product. They're driving a ton of value back into our owners, but that type of development takes more time. And so that's where the trade-off will come in to nurturing the brands that we have, nurturing the guests that we have, and as we go forward with new marketing campaigns, not alienating the guests that we already currently have in our system, and as we go forward from a development perspective, continuing to nurture the owners that we have that have helped us to grow to be the hotel company that we are, while introducing new higher-end developers and different types of developers into the system.
Any other questions? Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Question for you on social influencers.
Sure.
And how they fit in across the various brands and how you decide how much value they have versus issues around fraud within the social influencer marketplace.
Sure, I think it's a great question. I think it's something that we're slowly wading into. It's really only been within the last year that we have started to use influencers, and we've kept them really limited to our Wyndham brand. And what we really leveraged them for was the introduction of the Reconnected program, which really helped us to tell that family story that we wanted. So we went very specific to those types of mom family influencers, and on the smaller side. We didn't go with very big, I can't remember the name off the top of my head in terms of how they're bucketed, but we found that trying to tell a more authentic story with these real people who we know are staying in our hotels anyway, and some of the influencers that we found and that we wound up partnering with were staying in the hotel. And they reached out to us and said, we just stayed here, we loved what we experienced, we don't know if you partner with influencers, but if you do, we'd love to work with you. And so we're also finding people in a more organic way, which makes it more real when they go out and tell the story. So it's not something we're doing in a big way across the whole portfolio, but where it's making sense, we're trying to find the right ones.
This is going to be the last question.
Better make it good. No pressure. I cannot hear you.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Sure.
I'm Michael Newman. I'm with the Coca-Cola Company. I don't know if Wyndham serves our products. I hope they do.
We do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One of the things, and the question over here was about dilution of brands, and my company has 300-400 brands, and we talk about investment spend and where that goes. But one of the key themes that we also talk about is betting on brands that have higher operating income. Are you looking for consumers to be a little promiscuous and kind of move up the ladder, given that this whole suite is within the portfolio now?
So it's not promiscuity. I should not say that word right. Promiscuity. But it is life cycle. Because if you think about our range from budget economy to upper upscale, as you move through your life, you also move through your need in terms of a hotel chain. When you travel as a single person versus when you travel with a family, when you travel for leisure versus when you travel for business, when you travel on a budget versus when you're on that splurge trip. What the portfolio actually offers guests is, regardless of your mission of why you're traveling, there's a product for you. And so I think where we look at it is not kind of cheating on each other's brands, but really more of moving you through. So we may have you now in a Days Inn, and then we may move you through to a La Quinta, and then we may move you through to a Wyndham. And so the idea is to get you into our system early and get you introduced to the products early, and then through the loyalty program and through the product, really help to continue to move you through based on your life cycle. Okay. Thank you all so much. I want to welcome Kathy back up.